South Dakota Senator John Thune is a member of the Budget Committee and chairman of the Republican Policy Committee. Senator Thune, I want to start with this issue of what the real sticking point now appears to be, which is less about a number and more about these policy riders. Should the government shut down over basically an ideological political fight between the two sides, which is really what this divide on these policy riders about abortion, about NPR and some other things are really about?
Well, good morning, Chuck. Good morning, Savannah. I think what both sides have different imperatives coming into this, and obviously John Boehner has to figure out what the traffic will bear in the House of Representatives. How does he get enough Republicans to support an agreement? And to a lot of Republicans, particularly in the House, some of those are really important issues. So they're trying to negotiate that. Obviously, the number is important as well. But at the end of the day, we need to get this issue resolved and behind us so we can start focusing on the 2012 budget and the big fight for the future, which is what are we going to do on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and many of the programs that are going to occupy most of the federal budget and actually overwhelm the country if we don't do something in the next year or so.
Senator Thune, I don't have to remind you of the numbers. The House Republicans passed a bill with $61 billion in cuts. The White House and the Democrats are now willing to agree to $33 billion in cuts, so roughly half. Is this not the making of a compromise? Do you think Republicans are being reasonable if they're rejecting that level of cuts?
I think the Republicans want, and I think they have to, and again, it comes back to how do you get the votes to pass this, Savannah, and the House of Representatives is going to be John Boehner's got to put together a coalition of enough Republicans to be able to pass this. I don't expect he'll get a lot of cooperation from Democrats who really don't want to see any cuts. But I think that they're going to push as hard as they can to get the maximum level of spending reduction, which is what they should do. That's what the voters, many of the people who elected a lot of these new members of Congress want to see. They're following through on that. And I think that we need to push this as far as we can, get as much as we can in spending reduction in this unfinished business from last year. And then, as I said before, this is really the sort of the small ball in this game, and the big game is going to be the 2012 budget, the debt limit, all those fights that are coming up ahead.
Yeah, so I guess to bottom line it, would you be comfortable if we end up in a situation where the government shuts down because House Republicans were not satisfied with the Democrats' offer of $33 billion in cuts?
Well, I don't think the government shutdown doesn't serve anybody. I mean, that doesn't benefit anybody, least of all the American people. And so I think that most Americans want to see us come to an agreement here. But remember, too, Savannah, that the House is going to send over a continuing resolution. The government does not need to shut down. The House will deliver to the Senate a continuing resolution that will fund the government at least for another week. And I would hope that the Senate Democrats would act on that and the President would sign it if there isn't a longer-term 6-month deal agreed to by then. So that's not necessary. And I don't think that, again, I don't think there's anybody that believes that that's in the best interest of certainly of the country.
Senator, I guess, what is the definition of compromise? Because I think that that's what Democrats are trying to know. There was an interview that Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid did with Art Kelly O'Donnell yesterday. I want to play a part of it for you and have you react.
We have said, okay, what's your number? We'll go halfway. That wasn't good enough. What's your number? We'll go all the way. How can we be blamed when we have given them everything they want and they won't take yes for an answer? There are people of goodwill in that Republican caucus in the House of Representatives who want to do the right thing. They're being held back by this loud group screaming from the right.
Senator, is he right? Is this really I mean, you look at our own NBC Wall Street Journal poll, majority of Republicans don't want Republican leaders to compromise. But can you run a government this way when you only have 1/3 of what you need? You only control the House. You don't control the Senate, and you don't control the White House. Don't you have to meet in the middle?
Well, I think that people have to keep expectations realistic, and remember, that's right. We have the House of Representatives, the Democrats control the Senate, the Democrats have the White House, and so obviously there's going to have to be a meeting of the minds here somewhere. But again, the Democrats started at zero. The Republicans started at $100 billion below the president's request from last year. And you know, the $61 billion that passed the House of Representatives couldn't pass in the Senate, and so yes, you assume there's going to be somewhere in the middle. But I think most Republicans, and I think one of the reasons that poll says that the majority at least don't want to see compromise is, for most Republicans, compromise is a dirty word. They want to see an agreement reached, they want a solution, but they want a solution that's consistent with the principle of reducing spending and reducing debt, because they know how important that is is to the future of this country, to our economy, to jobs. And so I think that there is an agreement that can be reached here, but I don't think it's unreasonable for the House Republicans to say we want to get as close to that number as we possibly can.
Senator Thune, very quickly, 2012 political stuff. In our poll, Donald Trump surged into being a front-running contender for the Republican nomination among a poll of national Republicans. You know, NBC Wall Street Journal poll, this is not an internet poll, this is a serious survey. Do you take Donald Trump, do you believe he is a serious candidate for president for the Republican nomination, and could you be comfortable supporting him if he were your nominee?
Well, I think a lot of people obviously are taking him seriously. That's what your poll shows.
But do you take him seriously?
Well, sure. I mean, he's a serious person. He's obviously got another portfolio. He's a celebrity and an entrepreneur and a billionaire, and fits a lot of different definitions. I'm not sure he fits the definition yet of candidate for national office, but we'll see over time. I think what you're seeing, though, Chuck, is there are a lot of people around the country who want the sort of anti-politician. They're tired of politics, and I think this is an expression of the frustration that most people have at the direction of the country. And the things that he's talking about in terms of spending and debt and moving away from this foreign dependence are all themes that I think a lot of people across the country respond to.
All right, Senator John Thune, Republican from South Dakota. We got to leave it there. Thanks for coming on the Daily Rundown this morning.
Good to be with you, Chuck. Savannah.
All right.